Hello, and welcome back to another video on the OQLIS channel. Today I'm going to show you how dropdowns work inside an OQLIS data grid. I'll walk you through 4 examples: a static dropdown, a dynamic dropdown, a cascading dynamic dropdown, and finally a combined example that uses all 3 together. Before we get into the live examples, I want to explain the structure of the dropdown JSON, because once you understand that, the rest becomes very simple. Each dropdown definition starts with a field. That is the grid column I want to turn into a dropdown. Then I define a source. If the source is just a list of values, then it's a static dropdown. If the source points to data model fields, then it becomes a dynamic dropdown. In that case, the first value is typically what gets saved, and the second value is what the user sees. And if I add a cascading block, that means the dropdown depends on another field. Parent field tells OQLIS which field controls it, and parent filter column is used to filter the values dynamically from the data model. I already made these fields editable. Let's start with the first example, a static dropdown. This is the simplest version. The field is order status, and the source is just a fixed list of values. When I click into the cell, I get a controlled dropdown instead of free text. This is useful when I want users to pick from approved values and avoid inconsistent data entry. Here, the dropdown values come from the data model 602. Product SKU is the stored value, and product name is the friendly label shown to the user. So, instead of maintaining the list manually, OQLIS reads the values from the data model. That makes this ideal for larger value sets, especially when users need readable labels, but the system still needs to save a code or ID. Now let's take a look at a cascading dynamic dropdown. In this setup, country ID is the parent dropdown, and city ID is the child dropdown. The city dropdown depends on whatever value is selected in the country dropdown. First, I choose a country. Now, when I open the city dropdown, I only see cities that belong to the selected country. And if I change the country, OQLIS clears the city field and reloads the valid city options. That keeps the data clean and prevents invalid parent-child combinations. Now, let's bring everything together into one full example. In this setup, country ID is the parent dropdown, and city ID is the child dropdown. The city dropdown depends on whatever value is selected in the country dropdown. First, I choose a country. Now, when I open the city dropdown, I only see cities that belong to the selected country. And if I change the country, OQLIS clears the city field and reloads the valid city options. That keeps the data clean and prevents invalid parent-child combinations. Now, let's bring everything together into one full example. This combines all 3 patterns in one grid. Order status is a static dropdown. Product SKU is a dynamic dropdown. And city ID is a cascading dynamic dropdown controlled by country ID. So, in one row, I can update the status from a fixed list. Select a product from a data model-driven lookup. Choose a country and then choose a city that matches the country. And because this is part of the editable data grid flow, these values can be saved through the grid's normal update process. So, to recap, the pattern is simple. Field tells OQLIS which column becomes a dropdown. Source tells it where the values come from. A plain list gives me a static dropdown. A data model reference gives me a dynamic dropdown. and a cascading block creates a parent-child relationship for the dependent dropdowns. That's how to configure and use static, dynamic, and cascading dynamic dropdowns in an OQLIS DataGrid. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.